Hello, and thanks for tuning in to our second installment of the Looking Ahead series here on the Minstrel Online. Last week we took a look at the men's soccer team and the progress they've been making in the off-season. And this week we're going to be taking a look at our field hockey team, and we're actually lucky enough to be joined by head coach Brittany Hansrote. Thanks for coming on, Coach.
Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you on. So Adam, we're getting a look at a team that's coming into the 2015 season, from somewhere completely different than men's soccer for a variety of reasons.
That's right, Will. For one, you've got a head coach who will be only in her second year, so there are certainly unique challenges facing a young coaching regime. Secondly, despite the preseason predictions the last 2 years, they were a playoff team. So they're coming into the season established in the Freedom Conference. So thanks again for joining us, Coach. First, let's talk a little bit about your experience so far at DeSales. Now, you played at Mansfield University, you've coached at Bryn Mawr College and Kutztown University. How has DeSales been different than those other places?
There's been differences and similarities. The difference is that this is the first institution that I worked at that is having a religious background. So that's one difference. And the size of this school is different. It's co-ed. When I was at Bryn Mawr, it was an all-women's college, and then Kutztown was a state university. So they each had their differences, and then this is a small private liberal arts university. So I would say that's how it's different.
All right, so as you're coming into the second year as the leader of the program, are you going to be approaching this season any differently than last season? Or in other words, what changes are going to be made from your side of things this season?
Well, last season we were very successful. We made the playoffs for the second consecutive season. We broke a couple school records, most wins in a season, most shutouts in a season, most single assists in a season, and we had most players named to all conference. We had 6 players named to all conference. So we want to kind of build on that. We are losing 5 starters. We already do have 5 verbal commits for this coming fall, and we have a couple on the cusp of committing as well. So we want to build on what we've already have established, but we are going to change our tactics slightly in that now that we got our feet wet, myself and my 3 other assistants, we're going to try to be a little bit more strict. We had to make some compromises and adjustments coming in as a first year coaching staff because you don't want to overwhelm the student athletes because you're not going to get the response you're looking for. So it's all about making compromises and adjustments on both ends, from the student athlete's point of view and from our point of view. So next season is going to be, they kind of know what to expect now, so we can get a little bit more, having higher expectations, I would say,
Okay.
raising the bar of expectations, because we made the playoffs, but we didn't win the conference, and that's our ultimate goal. We want to go to the NCAA tournament, so we're going to have to raise the bar.
Is that something you experienced with your experience playing at Mansfield? Or?
We did make it to playoffs. Actually, my freshman year, I was part of the first playoff team in school history, which was really cool. But that was all. We just went to the playoffs as well. So we didn't get to make it. I personally didn't get to make it to the NCAA tournament.
Okay.
But,
as far as coaching though, was it a new regime when you were there, or was it kind of established, the coach established there?
When I was at Mansfield?
Yeah.
Yeah, she had been there for 17 years.
Okay,
so yeah, she had been there for quite some time.
Okay.
Now, you have a couple of all-conference players coming back in Mariah Harding and Alexa Beaumont. Is the plan to sort of build around those two?
Yeah, absolutely. Mariah is our center mid, and she is extremely talented. She has great stick skills and great vision, and she raises the level of play on the field. So her teammates really look up to her. And Lex got Rookie of the Year last season as a freshman, and then getting all conference again this season. She's one of our leading scorers, so it's great to have that mid spot and forward. But yeah, we absolutely do have to build around that. We have some players that I'm looking to be returning starters, but I'm also looking for immediate impact players in our incoming class. So I think it's going to be a nice blend of talent.
Very good. Going off that, let's talk about recruiting a little bit. Some of the players, I know you're losing a few of your all-conference players. How are you going to replace those, and is there any particular position you're recruiting hard for? And I know you said you had 5 verbal commitments so far, right?
Yeah, so the good news is we do have Mariah coming back, our center mid spots.
Right.
That's key to have that centralized position coming back, just because it's that's one of the biggest positions on our field. We are losing our starting goalkeeper, a mid, a forward, and 2 backs. So I would say our back line right now, since we do have 2 off-conference players returning at the forward and the mid spot, having our back line, we need to make sure that that's strong, and I'm very confident that that's going to be handled for this fall.
Okay, cool.
How much else can you tell us about recruiting besides the 5 verbals so far? Are there any others we're still waiting for?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're returning 11 players for this coming fall. So I'm looking to bring in 10 to 12. If you do the math, that puts us at about 21 to 23 players. A nice size roster. We had 17 last season,
Okay.
and it was
Is
a
that
little
short?
Yeah, it was a little bit of a struggle just because of the depth on the bench. So, like I said, we want to raise the level of our team and our play in conference. We need to get to that next step. That's our goal. So that's another reason why I want to bring in that number. Also, so that moving forward, we're prepared to continue building. We do have a couple girls that are on the cusp, we're their top choice, but they're just waiting on just some different things, whether it's financials or what have you, if they're getting into a certain program, making sure that everything lines up. I'm very confident in what we already have and coming in and what might add on what's going to be coming in.
Great. And now going back to those returning, as you mentioned, what do you have them doing this off-season to develop, to improve any sort of training specifically?
Well, over winter break, they did have a winter workout program, and then upon coming back to campus after winter break, they did workouts or they are currently doing workouts, I should say, with the head women's soccer coach, Heather Kemp. She works with a lot of the teams in their off season, and I think she does a really nice job, and I've liked what I've seen so far, and the kids seem to respond to her really well, and they're actually doing a great job of all being there, because we can't make that mandatory through NCAA rules and regulations, but they've done a good job of showing up on their own. So that does a lot of core body weight. They do some little lifting as well, and then towards the end of March, we're going to start our off-season, or non-traditional season rather. Our spring season will begin. So we'll go for about 5 weeks.
Okay, will you guys play anyone during that period? Or?
So we're able to have one competition. So we are going to be going to a spring tournament.
Okay, cool.
And then they might go on their own somewhere else.
Awesome. Do you guys know where you're going yet? Or?
Yeah, I have them signed up to go to Kutztown, actually.
Okay.
Connections.
Yeah, connections. But I chose that one actually just because there are other Division III schools that go there, and there's going to be Division II schools. So I think it's going to be a great experience for them to play different levels, range levels of play. That's why I picked that one.
And now, has the field hockey team worked with Coach Kemp before, or is this the first time?
Yeah, no, they have. Yep. So Coach Kemp actually is fairly new as well. She just is in her second season.
Okay.
So since she has come on board, last year would have been her first season. So she did it with the teams last season.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, well that about wraps up our show for the week. Thanks, Coach Hansrote, for joining us.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks again.
I wish the team best of luck next season.
Thank you very much.
Next week we'll be featuring women's cross country and the huge amount of potential they have coming into next season. For Adam Zielonka, I'm Will Edwards. Thanks for tuning in to the Minstrel Online.